And welcome back to the CSS podcast. We are back after a little break. I'm your host, Dave, along with Charlie and Sam. And our show tonight is filled up. We will be discussing the NCAA football championship game, or lack thereof. We'll also UC's quest to upset Houston, Xavier's winning streak, and the Bengals' emotional week. Plus, we'll also preview the upcoming playoff game. Finally, we'll review our preseason Bengals predictions for our topic of the week. So go ahead and please hit that like button, subscribe, turn on the notifications, and tell all your friends, family, and coworkers about the latest CSS podcast. And just as a reminder, you can find all of our podcasting on all of your platforms. Plus, look for this episode later this week on YouTube. And all you have to do is search Cincinnati Sports Scene. All right, gentlemen, how was your holiday?
That was good. Good to be back in town for a little bit, see the family.
Yeah. Speaking of family, we might, I don't know if you can see that, but it says Dad established 1995 and Opal established in 2020 or 2023. So congratulations are in order to my son. He's going to be a father for the first time. So congratulations. And
thank you.
Due date when?
July 1st.
All right. And baby girl, correct?
Yes.
All right. So another addition to the CSS family. So we're just we're ecstatic.
Special guest 2035.
Special guest.
2035.
No special guest, in July, because he'll have to be feeding her while she goes to bed while we're doing the podcast. So we'll be very, very quiet. so no, looking forward to it. Excited. Your mom and I are tickle pink, obviously. So can't wait. All right, let's go ahead and hit the week that was. Let's start real quick. Brief instant reactions of the Georgia total domination of, the Hypnotoad TCU, 65-7 takes.
That was the worst championship game of any sport I've ever seen. Not even close. It's terrible.
Yeah, I don't even know what to say. It was just. I was happy that TCU was there in the national championship. I wish they would have played a lot better and made it a game. I was rooting for them, but it just wasn't a good game. I mean, ultimately Georgia showed that they were the much better team. So.
Yep. Yeah. Somebody, I think Ryan Clark said that one team plays on Saturday and the other team plays on Sunday, and that's what it seemed like. Georgia just, for as close as Ohio State made it, it wasn't. I thought TCU would have a shot just because of their explosive offense, and Georgia's secondary was kind of suspectable, especially if they didn't get a pass rush. And nope, not that night.
It could have been a shutout if the DB didn't trip and fall on the touchdown pass. Right. They're lucky to even score. Yeah, I turned the game off at halftime. I was like, there's no sense in watching the second half. So
I did the same. It was one of those. It's like, well, if they come back, it'll be the greatest comeback in history, and I'll
turn it on. I'll get notifications.
Yeah,
I'll turn it back on.
I will miss it, and we'll talk about it on Monday. All right, let's move on. Bearcats basketball. They tried to upset Houston, number one ranked team in the nation, but Houston prevailed, and they showed why they are one of the best teams in the NCAA by beating UC on UC's court 72-59. Takeaways.
Yeah, I mean, UC's just not that level yet. They don't have enough consistent scoring. Locken's been pretty consistent. I mean, he's been a good player for this year, but they're, it's such a guard-dominated sport these days. They just don't have consistent guards, scoring guards. I think, all right, Julius had 6. And this is not good enough for him. I mean, he's got to score more than that for them to have any chance to beat somebody like Houston. Nolly, I think, had 12, but I mean, those guys got to, between the two of them, got to probably score 30 for them to be in it. I don't know. They just, they're not that level yet. Their talent level is not at Houston's at this, right as we speak. So hopefully in another year or two, but just like in the, wasn't big as a blowout, obviously, is Georgia TCU, but that, talent won out there, and Houston's talent is just, above UC's right now. So.
Yeah, Houston's perimeter defense is, I mean, they're good. They get after it. And so when, your guards can't get past that and feed the big man, locking down low or pick and pop or whatever, it makes it tough to score. And you see that when you only put up 59 points. I mean, that's what Houston does. Houston's not beating you 85-80. They're beating you just like they did 72-59 or whatever it was. But yeah, they get after it on defense, and I mean that's the cream of the crop of the AAC. So it's looking like it's going to be a battle for second, is my opinion on it.
Yeah, Charlie, you brought up a good point as far as talent and sort of like the Georgia TCU, and just thinking about UC's move to the Big 12 and how the TCU Big 12 champs, and how much of a learning curve UC is going to have as they go into the Big 12 football wise, not just basketball but football as well. And I think it's going to take them a while to figure it out in both sports. So hopefully they can recruit and better, and get the players that we need in here. So that was a good point on the talent, etc. All right, Xavier basketball. They moved up in the polls to 12. They had a great week. They defeated UConn earlier in the year, and then they turned around and defeated Villanova at Villanova, and that was the first time since joining the Big East that Xavier went into Villanova to win. Now, granted, they got a new coach. Both teams have a new coach, but I think Sean Miller is pulling his weight. I just coaching, they say, can win you one or two games, but I think in the college level, it's more like, especially with Sean Miller and the Xavier's team, I think it's probably more 5 or 6 games that he will be able to win, just because of his experience and the direction he wants to take this program. And 9 wins in a row for that Xavier. I mean, that's really good. Fremantle and Nunji are starting to play really, really well, and that's going to bode problems for the rest of the Big East. Any takeaways from that, gentlemen?
I didn't have. Go ahead, Carly.
No,
go ahead.
I was going to say they're almost like, I would almost call them the anti-UC. They're like the opposite. They don't. I mean, they have really good players, but they have consistent players. They have 5 guys that can score. Their starting 5 is solid from 1 to 5, and UC just can't. They don't have that. And so, when Fremantle, Fremantle wasn't all that good the first few weeks, and now he's scoring 29 against Villanova. So, when he was not, Nunji was better the first half of the season so far. Fremantle's picked it up recently, and then Boom has been solid the whole year. So, they just have more. I'm just comparing them to UC. They're just more, better distribution across the players, consistency. With scoring, and I mean, they don't play great defense. They seem to give up 75 to 80 to everybody, but then they score 85 to 90. So that helps. So
yeah, that's what puts them in.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It seems like any one of their starters could go for 20 on any given night. I don't know that UC really has that. I don't know that a lot of teams in the country have that, where you wouldn't be surprised if any one of the 5 you saw they had 20 points. So that's really good. I think Sean Miller, like you said, he's already added 2 wins so far with UConn and Villanova. I don't think they win those games last year. So he'll probably get 2 or 3 more. like you said, so yeah, he's going to add 5 to 6 wins. And, they're looking, them and Providence are looking, UConn's really good too. But both Xavier and Providence are also looking pretty good. So it's going to be, Big East is going to be, I think, more competitive than the AAC.
Yeah. And I think we'll see Sean Miller's worth value when the tournament comes around. He'll be able to settle the team down, know how to prepare, and Travis, Steele obviously didn't. So, so bring back Miller, little bumpy start in the road, just trying to figure each other out, trying to figure his rotation, trying to, the players trying to understand what he expects. And I think now you see it clicking, and the only thing you just hope that, if you're a Xavier fan, they're not clicking too early, right? You don't want to be gassed by February and then you just go into tailspin in March, because, you want to be clicking on all cylinders heading into March. So hopefully they can maintain that for the city of Cincinnati here.
Yeah, I was just quick looking at the Big East standings. Providence is 6-0 right now. They've actually they've won 9 in a row as well. I think it's Ed Cooley, isn't that the coach there?
Yeah, Ed Cooley, yep.
They always are better than they're supposed to be. That dude, you don't ever hear about Providence until later in the season, and they're always, top 3 or 4 in the Big East. And, that guy doesn't get, hardly any pub for what – I feel like Providence is always sneaky good, and then you see Providence, and, there's Ed Cooley. They made the tournament again, or they're, the top 2 or 3 seeds in the Big East. So, so they're 6-0. Marquette's 5-1. I think isn't Shaka Smart the coach there now?
Yeah, Shaka Smart is the coach.
Yeah,
so there's some quality coaches in the Big East. So
he's another. He's showing that some guys are just better coaching when they're not coaching Texas and those kind of schools, but they're coaching the Marquettes and the Providences and Sean Miller with Xavier and stuff. So some guys, that's where they need to be. So.
Yeah, unlike Patrick Ewing, in Georgetown, who 7 in a row that they lost.
I don't know how he's still the coach.
Because he's
Patrick
Ewing, and he's John Thompson's boy. But but I think if he doesn't turn it around here soon, he probably will not.
Yeah, I would say this is it. This is the end of the road this year.
Yep, exactly. All right. Real quick, we're gonna switch it around here. We do have one Reds note. The Reds did do some signing while we were away. Will Myers coming to the Reds, which I thought was a really good pickup. And Kurt Casilli is back with the Reds, which I think the catching depth I think the Reds are going to carry 3 catchers on the roster, on the 28-man roster, just because when Tyler Stevenson goes to DHing, you'll have Luke Malley and Kirk Caselli as your catcher, starting catcher, backup catcher, those type of things. So what'd you think of the signings there?
Yeah, they don't hurt. Will Myers legitimate major league hitter. Kirk Caselli was a good backup catcher when he was here the first go round. So I don't have any problems with either of those. Will Myers can play a lot. He can play first base. There's some talk that Votto won't be back for the beginning of the season, while he's still rehabbing. So Will Myers has played a number of games at first, so he could be a first baseman. But I hope he's more in the outfield, because they still got nothing in the outfield. So so I hope he doesn't have to play. Again, they got nothing in the outfield, so I hope Will Myers is, if he starts 150 games, 145 of them are in the outfield.
Yeah. If he's playing anywhere other than right field for the majority of the time, it could be another long year for the Reds.
I think he's going to be similar to what Tommy Pham was. Just kind of see if we can get some production out of him and flip him at the deadline would be my guess. Because I think it's just a 1-year deal, wasn't it? Or was there an option tacked onto it too, maybe?
Kind of option, mutual option or something.
Right.
Yeah. So
something like that.
we'll see. Maybe maybe they're 500-ish, and he's producing. And they'll keep him around. But I was.
That's Sam. That is 500-ish from Sam.
Hey,
that's the most positive thing we've heard all year from you.
I know. It was. They were 500 after the fourth game.
It's 2023. 2023. I guess we've turned it over.
Yeah. Yep. Well,
turn over a new leaf. I'm not going to be as grumpy anymore.
Yeah. The optimism's kicking in.
So he has to be.
Wait till we get to the
grumpy.
25th game.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
And they're 5-20.
Yes. And then there won't be any optimism. But I'm excited. They ate some money too. So it wasn't just the signings.
Yeah, that was probably the biggest news is they're swallowing $22 million to get rid of Moose. Talk was that he might sign with the Cubs, which I'm like, please do. But,
he'll be an all-star for them. What are you talking about?
Well, he probably will. I know. Knowing our luck, he'll stay healthy
45 games and hit 35.
Stay healthy. Yeah, exactly. Oh well.
I did see one other. I don't know if you have another piece of Reds thing, but I did see today that Cueto signed with the Marlins. So I was holding out hope that he would sign with the Reds. I still think they're making a mistake by not signing a veteran starting pitcher, like a legitimate one, not some bum that that I know they've picked up a few minor league dudes, but like a legitimate starting pitcher, Wade Miley type, who was going to the Brewers.
Is he?
I think he's already signed with the Brewers. I think they're I think the young guys need somebody in there to show them some things. So.
Yeah, they're going to do right.
Cueto. I thought I read something Cueto like on Twitter or something, even put him posted something with him in a Reds uniform even. So like, well, here we go. Dude even wants to play here, at least showing some things. So
I think he has $10 million guaranteed because I think it's $8 million or 8.5. Yeah. 8.5 for the first year and then a 1.5 million buyout.
We paid $10 million to freaking Mike Minor last year.
I know. Yeah. And they're going to bring him back. You watch.
No, that dude's got he got to be floating on a boat right now in the Pacific somewhere. So not pitching next year.
Hey, for $10 million, I'd be floating on a boat too. I could have those numbers.
I know exactly. I'm just saying.
I'd take 5. I'd take 5.
If they can't afford $10 million, I know they can. If they can't afford $10 million, then it's then I'm going back to Sam's grumpiness from last year.
All right, let's talk about the Bengals here. Obviously they had a lot of press Monday night game, all the hype leading up to Monday night, and then the Bengals just went right through the Bills defense, scored right away. Bills were marching down, and then they got in the red zone, couldn't score. Defense stepped up. Josh Allen looked bad on a couple of throws, settled for a field goal. We get the ball back, going down, just shredding them, and then the play. T. Higgins over the top gets tackled by Hamlin, and we all know what happens. We're just thankful that he is doing better in stable condition now in Buffalo Hospital. It just was surreal watching that. It brought me back to my days as an athletic director where we had a JV football game and kid got hit, went back to the huddle, and all of a sudden the kids were saying, we need somebody here. We need somebody here now. And kids' eyes just rolled up and just collapsed. And we had to get the air care flown in and had to take him to Children's in Cincinnati. They flew him in, and it was touch and go for about a week as well. And, he was in the hospital for almost this happened in August, late August, and he was in until through December. Flashback, something that I was involved in, and I understand the severity of the injury. CPR on the field. It was just, the game didn't matter, and leaks that are coming out now saying that the NFL wanted to play that game, continued to play that game, and the Bengals and the Bills both took the leadership role and said, no, we're not playing tonight, and left. So, with that, the Bills game, what it was, 6 minutes of it, your guys' take on that and on the situation and how Zach Taylor and Sean McDermott handled the situation.
Yeah, I mean, the build-up was awesome. But, everybody was excited. I mean, ESPN was billing it as, this is going to be the best Monday Night Football game maybe ever. It's the first time that both teams this late in the season had double-digit wins on a Monday Night Football game. And, they were really hyping the game up. It was going to be a good game. I mean, I really think that. But, after everything happened, I think if you didn't know by now, you understand why these guys are going wherever Zach Taylor goes. I think you really see that. Same with, the other captains on the team, Joe Burrow and, those guys. You see, why they're good and how great of leaders that these guys really are. And you're able to see now why the team has bought into Zach Taylor, even after his first 2 seasons were a struggle. You've seen the buy-in. You really get it now. So, like we've already said, like everybody.
Uh-oh. we lost him. He's coming back, I think.
Maybe coming back.
Coming back?
No.
Nope.
Okay, well, I'm sure he'll be back.
Oh, your take there. Yeah, he'll be back. Hopefully.
Okay, my take. Yeah. So, the main thing, I mean, you guys said,
there he is.
Is he coming?
Yeah, he's coming back. Maybe.
All right. Can you hear me?
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, my internet cut out for a second. I was lost Wi-Fi connection on there. But yeah, I was saying, we've said it. We're so glad DeMar, is doing a lot better and back in Buffalo now. So, it's a game, it's not getting replayed. We know that it's behind us now. So we can only, we took care of business against the Ravens. So we're moving on to the playoffs. Both teams are. So.
Yeah, I would agree with all that. I mean, the big thing is that he's fine. Well, he's not fine, but he's improved to the point where he's now in stable condition. He's been able to come back to Buffalo. I think yesterday he came back.
Yesterday, yeah.
In the hospital there. They think he'll be there at least for a week. Shows you probably a little bit of the fact that it happened to a 25-year-old football player. Young and in as good a shape as you probably can be in, and that I'm sure that helps a little bit. The emergency responders, the Bills and the Bengals trainers, I mean, shows the value of, trainers and the doctors there. And, the fact that, within, 15 seconds of him being down on the ground, there was an emergency person, medical persons, kneeling next to him and figuring things out. So, appreciate all what they do and what with that. So that just shows the value, that, what can happen in a football game, but the resources that are there to do what they're supposed to do, and that's what happened. And from the Bengals standpoint, I mean, there's things that the way the NFL handled it, and even some of the things that happened afterwards in terms of some of the decisions they made were not helping the Bengals at all. Of all the teams, they got definitely put in the worst position. Everything from the coin flip, whatever the heck that was going to be about, to, the Bills, the Bengals, if they do play the Bills, they now have to go to Buffalo, whereas they did have a chance to host that game if they would have won that game. And but that stuff is just, was a terrible situation for everyone and tough to make those decisions as to what we're going to do with it. It was unprecedented in terms of what we were going to, what they were going to do. So, yeah, some of the decisions made we don't agree with, but at this point it is what it is. And if the Bengals really are the best team, like we think they can be, and they have the talent to be, then they can go to Buffalo and win. I'd rather them be playing here, but yeah, so.
Yep. So then, the week leading up to the Sunday game against the Ravens, it was going to be an emotional week in Buffalo. Hines runs the opening kickoff back for the Bills, which unbelievable. And then later on in the game, he runs another one back, so that was just a great feel-good moment. I was out in Denver or Greeley and with Lydia, and I was watching the Bills game there and saw the kickoff and then the 3 and out from the Patriots, and I was like, oh, this game is over. And credit New England. I mean, they hung around, gave them a game, and but the Bills prevailed. And then 425 game. I did not get to see any of the game, so I was trying to watch it on the Gamecast on my phone before I boarded the plane. And, so I'll let you two take it and let me know your takes on it.
I want to know what what's his name? Brandon Staley, I think, the Chargers coach. Why was he playing everybody? What's he doing? They were locked into the 5 seed. I don't get it. Now he's got 2 starters out injured. So that didn't make any sense to me. And then to top it off, you lose to the Broncos. That's not a momentum builder in any way, shape, or form. So you can't feel good about that going into the playoffs now. So I don't know if he's going to have a job. Well, especially with Sean Payton being out there. I don't know that guy's going to have a job.
That is true. And if you want to talk about just some stupid decisions, what about Houston? Going for the win.
Well, so I don't know if you saw, but there are reports that came out today that the Texans told Lovey before the game that they were going to fire him after. So he just put a middle finger, just put it right up. That's what that was.
Oh, yeah. And that's what I figured, that he was going to be fired, and he's like, I don't care, I'm going to go out and win. Why do I want to help this?
Just any of you can't get players and coaches to tank. I mean, they're not going to not play. So
unless you're in the NBA, it's
but even
management.
But even the players out there, if they're playing, they are trying. I mean, they're just not as if you put it. But
talented,
the Texans didn't play a bunch of third stringers. I mean, they were playing their players, so
right.
So they're gonna play to win. So at that point, they're gonna go for the 2-point conversion, whatever. So, but I don't. The Bengals, unfortunately, one side effect of it is the Bengals had to, at least initially, had to play their real team, their ones, and now we got another offensive lineman who's out of the playoff game. So that's.
Did he get ruled out? I didn't see him.
He hasn't officially been ruled out. They don't have to rule anybody out yet. But I mean, Dave Lapham last night said he would be surprised if he can play in the playoffs. Period. So for him to play this week, so a little bit of the Bengals had more to ride. Had something to ride on the game because they wanted to get away from that stupid coin flip. But unfortunately, they didn't get up enough in the game. By the time I got to halftime, that they could. I was hoping they could sit all their ones, or at least most of them. You can't in the NFL; you really can't sit everybody. But sit most of them and get some of those guys out, and they really didn't much of the second half. And then now our whole right side of our offensive line is going to be back up, so that could be a problem, especially against the Ravens. I mean, the Ravens' defense is good. I mean, that's definitely their strength. So
the backup guard, I can't remember his name, but
Sharping.
Sharping played 33 games, started 33 games for the Texans. So it's not
how
like
many games have they won in those 33 games? So.
Well, at least he's got some PT under his belt, I guess.
Right. So. It's not like,
Corman.
Yeah.
I know, but I'm just saying, I'd rather have Alex Kapp out there.
Well, yes. I don't think that's and Collins on the end too, but and then didn't T. Higgins suffer like a hip strain or something like that. I mean,
yeah, they feel
bruise
optimistic
or
that he'll be fine.
he'll be fine.
That he'll at least be able to play.
Okay.
Much more than Kappa. It seems like Kappa's the big one.
What about Hubbard? Hubbard should be back then, right?
He played.
Oh, he played.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Let's move forward on the preview here for the Bengals. We have them Sunday night. So, we won't be broadcasting Sunday night. We'll be moving it to Monday. As long as you're good with that, son.
Yeah, shouldn't be an
unless,
issue.
Do you work Monday? It's Martin Luther King Day.
I think we do have to work. Yeah,
okay.
I'm not 100% sure though.
Yeah, because I was going to say if you didn't, we could do it during the afternoon or something like that.
Yeah,
get that over. But so I guess the big question, other than the injuries for the Bengals, is will he or won't he play Lamar Jackson? Today John Harbaugh really said he hopes he plays, but there was nothing definitive.
If I had to put my money on, I would say no. He doesn't.
Yeah,
it's not.
I think
looking
Lamar
like
is. I think Lamar's given Baltimore the finger, and he's saying, "I'm going to go to free agency and see what I can get out there."
He won't be.
Huh?
They'll
he won't be going to free agency.
They'll tag him. Yeah, they'll tag him.
Absolutely. But he could be saying, at least I'm not going to. 100%. I need to be 100% before I go out there.
Right.
Yeah, he's not. He's not risking a potential payday. So
no.
But I mean, I guess that's a Ravens problem. So
yeah, exactly.
Right.
And even if he is,
well, I was going to say the question is, would you actually? I think it's a legitimate question. Would you rather face a hobbled Lamar Jackson, or would you rather face 100% Tyler Huntley? I might rather face a Lamar Jackson that's running at 70%.
Yeah,
since his legs are his game. So
Huntley's not going to turn it over, and so if you take away Lamar can't really run like that. He's we've seen what he is as a passer, trying to be a pure passer. So I mean, that's a great question.
Yeah, I mean, the one piece is J.K. Dobbins going to play? Because I know they held him out, even though he was injured. They held him out to get an extra week.
Yeah, I think he's playing. I think he's playing.
So
it sounded like if this past week would have been a playoff game, he would have played.
He would have played.
Yeah.
So
would Mark Andrews. They held him out, but he's going to play. I mean, that's what it sounded like. It sounded like a lot of it was precaution. We don't really care about the coin. We need players healthy, but more than we need to host the game. So.
Yep. So hopefully, they'll come in overconfident, and the Bengals will just put up a ton of points on them, and Burrow can pass for more than 525, especially after the comment Harbaugh made about they don't play dirty, and everything on Twitter showed Burrow face mask in his head, in the back of his helmet, and no, we don't play dirty. It's like, yeah,
right, okay.
And Bart Scott can believe that. So yeah.
Right.
All right, so
Bart Scott speaking up on your behalf. I think you're in the wrong there. So that's Joker.
At least it wasn't Hines Ward or somebody like that. So Kiko.
Yeah.
Well, at least the Steelers didn't make it, so that's a good thing. All right, predictions.
They almost did.
I know. Yep. I know. But
if you go back to podcast about number 8, I said if the Steelers had a winning record, then Mike Tomlin should be coach of the year. So
I think Dan Campbell's going to get that. I think, unless
I think
you don't think.
Yeah, but I think the Lions' talent is way better than the Steelers. The Steelers are awful. Their offensive talent sucks. Their defense is overrated. They should not have been 9-8. So I'm just saying, I think he did a lot more with less than Dan Campbell did. I agree with Dan Campbell did a good job. I mean, I'm not saying that. I just think based on the way the Steelers were that first half of the season, to have a winning record, pretty crazy.
Yeah. We'll get into the records here in a little bit, but Predictions for Sunday night.
I think we roll. I'm going to say we go 30-14. I think we take care of business relatively easily. The only thing is how chippy the game's going to get. That's kind of going to be it. If the Ravens take that second half mentality that they did and just muck it up from the beginning, maybe it's a little different. But if they don't do that, I don't see them hanging with us.
I'll go Bengals 24-17, 24-16. I don't know. I think the Ravens defense is good. Roquan Smith, even though he's not a nice person, I won't say any bad words, but he runs around like a crazy man and hits people. So I don't think we're gonna tee off on them in terms of offense, but their offense sucks one way or the other. So I'll go.
They just paid him too, by the way.
Yeah.
Roquan Smith, he just got an extension.
So I'll go 24-16.
Yeah, I think we're 5.5-point favorites.
I think we were 6.5 as of yesterday, I thought.
Okay. And maybe it dropped a point because of Lamar. I don't know. I think we'll win. It's going to be a dogfight. I think the officials are going to play a big role in this game because, like you said, Sam, if Baltimore comes out with muck, the Bengals are going to have a chip on their shoulders, and I don't think it's going to be as horrible as the fiasco that the Steelers game was, the playoff game, because I think our team now has a better head on their shoulders. And
we don't have a loose cannon.
We don't have two loose cannons.
2, 3, 4, however many they had.
So, and Burrow, and I think his demeanor, I think the defense respects that. I think they respect Hubbard and, those guys on that side. And I just think that it will be, if the officials don't let it get chippy, I think we'll cover the spread. If it gets chippy and physical and smash mouth type of thing, it could be. I still think we'll win, but it could be one of those 10-7 games or 14-10 type of ball game. But let's hope for a clean game, and I'll say Bengals 27-21.
Yeah, you made a great point there with the officials. I'm kind of curious to see, are they going to start calling ticky-tack stuff, first couple drives? Or are they going to, it'll be interesting to see, first drive, Bengals get called for a hold right away, something like that. Then you know what kind of game it's going to be. So.
All right. Any other thing for the week that was before we get into our trivia question? All right. The last time we were here, I had the trivia question, and it was Tony Gwynn faced Greg Maddux, Pedro Martinez, Tom Glavine, and John Smoltz 323 times. How many strikeouts did he have? And the answer was 3. He struck out 3 times and 323 times against those Hall of Fame pitchers. So pretty impressive.
Here's a side note question to that trivia question. How many times would each Red strike out in one game against each of those pitchers you just named?
3.
or just collectively, how many strikeouts would each of those pitchers face if they face the Reds today?
14
How many
plus.
pitchers in that game would they have? So
those pitchers are all throwing complete games. So yeah, 14 plus.
I think it might hit 20. I think it might be on Kerry Wood 20.
You're going to go Kerry Wood, Randy Johnson 20?
Yeah. They definitely have they'd be going into the 9th with 17. So they'd have a shot.
Yeah.
Yeah. They would. So
and then Stevenson will ground out to second base or something. So, but yeah, they that would not be fun to watch. Oh, goodness.
It would if you like those pitchers.
That's true. That is true.
Yeah.
Pedro may just toy with them and just like buzz one just to get some action, put one upside somebody's ear just to get a reaction to them.
Walk the bases loaded just for fun. Yeah.
All right. Charlie here's going to have this week's trivia question. But for all of you listening out there, if you think you know the answer, you can email us at csspodcast@yahoo.com. Or a better way is to direct message us on Instagram or Twitter. Just look for Cincy Sports Scene, and then you can comment or send us a direct message with the answer. So go ahead, Crawley, take it away for this week.
Okay, I'm going with a Bengals postseason question.
Ooh.
So I want you to give me the names.
Cold cuts. I got some cold cuts.
What?
Oh, Icky Woods, right?
The Subway commercial. What's that have to do with the playoffs?
Because Icky's playoff. That's my answer. Before the question.
Well, that could be an answer.
I know.
The question is, who has the career postseason rushing and receiving yardage records for the Bengals? Who has the career postseason rushing and receiving yards records for the Bengals? Just postseason career. So that's your question.
All right. You don't remember that commercial? Icky Woods.
I do.
I remember it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It was just like didn't have
Random.
to do with anything. Yeah.
Well, hey, never know. Let's see here. James Brooks rushing James Brooks rushing, receiving, Collinsworth. That's my two guesses.
Yeah. It sounds good to me. It would have been before my time. Nobody since I've been alive would have had those records. So
AJ Green, maybe. You never know.
No,
They had
throwing it to him.
4 years in a row. I mean,
yeah, but if I remember right, I don't think Dalton ever threw for over 200 in any one of those games. So
it's probably true.
Well, he didn't play in one. Remember,
that's true. Yeah,
played.
that's right. McCarron played.
Yeah,
in the Steelers one. Yeah, that's right.
Yep.
And McCarron didn't have over 200 yards in that game. I know for a fact. So
I thought he played pretty well in that game.
He did play well, but it wasn't like he was putting up numbers.
Yeah, that was the infamous game too, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was that game. Yeah.
So.
Yep.
All right. That's a good one. So Carly will be
It's
back
not
next
Jeremy
week.
Hill, I'll tell you that much.
Could be.
Could be.
Could be. You never know. Rudy. No. All right. So if you think you know the answer, go ahead and DM us on Instagram or Twitter at Cincy Sports Scene. All right. We are moving on to our topic of the week, which is our preseason predictions of the Cincinnati Bengals record. So we did this back in August. Crawley wasn't with us the time that Sam and I went game by game. And, to say the least, Bengals finished, 12-4?
12-4.
12-4. I had them at 12-5.
So did I. Yeah.
And I had them winning 8 in a row, but the first 8 of the season, not the last 8. I had them winning the first 8 of the season. But so overall, I was pretty close to that. And Sam, you were pretty close. What'd you have, Crawley? What'd you have them?
I had 11-6.
11-6. Doubter. So
when they were 2-3, it was.
You were looking pretty good, So yeah, I had them.
Because I had the first 8 basically pegged, and then I went from there. So.
Yeah, I thought I had the first 8 pegged, but actually I had the first 9 pegged because I did have them losing to the Browns on Halloween, and they did. But then after that,
all the games I said they would lose in the first 10 games they lost them. They lost those 3 games because they lost Dallas. I had them losing to Dallas, Baltimore, and Cleveland.
Yep,
they lost those 3. So
yep, I had them losing to the Browns, and then I had them losing to the Titans, Buccaneers, and then I had them losing to the Bills, and then I had them losing to the Ravens just because we clinched the North and we were resting people. That was my theory on that. So overall, I think games that I was off on, obviously the Tennessee game was probably the one that in the last Ravens game that I got wrong, that I thought, all the other games could have went the Bengals' way that they lost, especially the first two games. The Steelers. We didn't anticipate Joe Burrow getting 5 interceptions, in that first game, and the Steelers beating them, and then lo and behold, Cooper Rush, marching down and scoring the game-winning. That game still eats me up to this day. So, but oh well, that's neither here nor there. So,
I'm just gonna go ahead and say I got it. I got the record spot on because as far as the NFL is concerned, the Bengals lost to the Bills based off how it seeded out. So 12-5, I got that right, but didn't get the games right. But that's all right.
Yep. So any that you were totally off on? I
had them losing to the Chiefs and the Bucks. I also had them losing first game to the Ravens and Browns, so those were right. Chiefs and Bucks. I was not anticipating the Bucks to be this bad this year. So that was my logic behind that one. Had I known that they weren't going to be very good, I'd have flipped that.
The first half, they were lights out.
Yeah, but going into, we did this preseason going in. If I'd have known that they're going to be an 9-8 division winner or whatever.
I would have definitely. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I had them losing the 3 games for the second half of the season. The 3 games I had them losing was Tennessee, Kansas City, and Tampa Bay. And I figured Tampa Bay would have been better. Tennessee would have been better. In Kansas City, I just thought it was going to be a revenge game for them, and the Bengals still took it to them. So yep. I had them beating Buffalo and Baltimore at the end. So,
all right. Couple of other questions about the Bengals here. What was your favorite moment of the season so far?
It's tough. I don't know that I have like an exact moment. Joe Mixon's 5 touchdown game. It's not like a singular moment, but it's a performance moment, I guess you could say. It was pretty awesome to watch.
Yeah, I went. Go on. I was going to say.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, my favorite game was the Chiefs game, just because of beating the Chiefs is just, so just good. I love the Jermaine Pratt strip of Kelsey in that game. I think that really turned that game around and got the Bengals, from then on, the Bengals won the game. So really I was thinking between that moment and the Burrow pass to Higgins in the last 2 minutes of that game, where it was like 3rd and 11, and they could have played it safe and just ran the ball and done what probably a lot of teams would have done, run the ball, then kick the field goal, whatever. But it was awesome that Zach Taylor and the coaching staff was willing to put the ball in Burrow's hand, what they didn't do in the Super Bowl last year, and let him win the game. And sure enough, he did. With Higgins. So one of those that they were would have been if I were to pick some favorite. So
yeah, I like the game after Lamar gets injured. T. Higgins, if you want to call it his breakout game, right? That's when people said, "Oh, he could be a true number 1," which we knew that. For the last 3 years, we knew he could be a true number 1, and I just think that just gave him a lot of confidence, knowing that Burrow trusted him, coaching staff trusted him to make those plays, and over 1,000 yards again for the season for him. And I also like the Joe Mixon, the 5, especially when we were talking about the running game. Like, come on, we've got to get this running game going. And when the Bengals were struggling a little bit, they relied on the running game, and that sort of turned it around. Now they're back to being pass happy again, and I think we need to run the ball a little more against Baltimore this Sunday, just to set up more of the passing, or pass a lot to set up the run, one of the two. But we need to at least commit to the run a little more than 14 times. I think that's all they ran last week against them. So that would have been my favorite moment. It's probably when T. Higgins stepped up.
Yeah, and another one that I just remembered was after that shank punt against the Saints that they had there. I think it was like the first or second play. They hit Chase on that out, and then he took it 50 yards for the touchdown. So that's a cool moment for Joe and Jamar going back to New Orleans and getting a W there.
That is true. Okay. Another one that we have here is our non-Burrow MVP for the Bengals.
Go ahead, Crawley.
Okay. Yeah, I thought about this one quite a bit. I'm going to go a little bit. I think this is a little bit outside the box. I'm going to go Logan Wilson. Just middle linebacker, captain of the defense, calls all the calls the signals and whatever. I think he, his speed around, I think he's kind of Luke, what's his name? Luke Kuechly light a little bit. Runs all over the field, does a lot of stuff, kind of, just like a lot of the Bengal defenders, they don't get any national pub or, even some guys local pub. But I think he does a lot for him. The defense is way underrated, and I think he's kind of the heart of that. So I'm going to go him.
Yeah, I stuck with the same side of the ball on defense, but I went with DJ Reader. He sets up our whole run defense, and is the reason why our run defense is so good, especially when he plays. It's just the double teams that he eats up, and he allows Logan Wilson and Jermaine Pratt just to go clean it up. And, both of those guys are good tacklers, and they do. But I think it starts with Reader.
Yeah, I was leaning towards Reader as well, but I'll go a different route. I think Chase, you gotta put him up there because he got over 1,000 yards again, and he missed 4 games with the hip. He's getting double teamed a lot, so it opens up for T. Higgins. It opens up for Tyler Boyd and Hayden Hurst when he's in there. But also another one who I was thinking of. It's a stretch, way stretch. But I just
Zach Carter.
Yeah, Zach Carter. Yeah. Hey, he got some props the other day.
He did. He got a shout out.
He got a couple shout outs. So
did he get compared to Aaron Donald in it?
No, not yet.
Just checking.
Not yet. Just wait.
I was going to say, man,
comparisons are coming. Just wait. If I want to go like favorite moment, to go back instead of the P. Ryan, when P. Ryan came in and had those 3 touchdowns. And I think that's where we were like, hey, we can run the ball. And that's when the Bengals were committed a little more to the run. I'm good with, all those MVPs that you guys said. And, it's good. We got to move forward, and hopefully we can, get the victory on Sunday night, 8:25 here in the Jungle. It's another primetime game, which is always scary for Bengals fans. But I'm hoping that, we can reverse the jinx and, have success in primetime. So they put us in primetime a lot more. So
what were we in primetime this year? We lost to the Browns. We lost to the Ravens.
Lost to the Ravens.
Beat
the Dolphins.
Yeah. That was it, because that one game got flexed out. Steelers game got flexed out.
Yeah, and then
we only had the 4 counting the Bills.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we only had the 4 because the Chiefs wasn't prime time.
No. Nope.
Steelers second game got flexed out. Yeah.
Yeah, it just ended up being the 4.
So I guess we originally were going to have 5 because of the Steelers game.
Right.
Yep.
Steelers and Buffalo game.
Yep.
So we were 1 and 2.
1 and 2. So yeah. Any other thing for the good of the order?
I think Joe Mixon there had one of the best touchdown celebrations the Bengals ever had. I think that was awesome. Some of the signage in the stadium was pretty nice too. So shout out to all the fans that went down and took their signs, brought the signs out.
Chad Johnson was the one who initiated the coin flip on Twitter. He said, after we scored touchdown, somebody's got to break out quarters and do that. And then he also said that he put the commissioner's address on Twitter and said, everybody from Cincinnati, mail in a quarter, and we'll cover that fine for you, Joe. So
yeah. Well, the question I have is, did everybody have a coin, or was it just Joe that had a coin and he was just going to provide it?
Probably just Joe.
He just happened to be the one that scored.
Yeah, probably Joe. Is my guess. I don't think Burrow would have a quarter, and I don't think
he could have put it in his little hand warmer,
Well, but I don't think he's that. I don't want to say defiant, but he's got moxie.
Yeah, he's a quarterback. He's not going to rub it in the commissioner's face.
Right.
Yeah.
The receivers might have, though.
Oh yeah. Big offensive lineman,
Well, I don't think they need. I don't think they're a chance of scoring. I mean,
no, I know.
Keep it in their knee brace and
flipping them up. So. All right.
Yeah.
We want to thank you again for tuning in to the CSS podcast. Don't forget, you can find us on all of the podcasting platforms, including Apple and Google Podcast. Another thing is look for us on YouTube here this week. I will be posting the videos of this episode. Next week's show should be a fun one. We are going to have the greatest games and endings of our lifetime. So we have to be alive for that, for the topic of the week. We'll also review UC and Xavier basketball, plus the Bengals victory over the Ravens, and then who we play the following week. So stay tuned, listen to us, and until next time, have a wonderful week, and take care, everybody.
See you.
See ya.